Muhammad Yunus, the banker to the poor and the architect of a Nobel dream. The year 1974 brought a devastating famine to Bangladesh, a newly independent nation grappling with immense poverty. For Muhammad Yunus, a brilliant economics professor recently returned from teaching in the United States, the famine was a stark and unbearable reality unfolding right outside his university office in Chittagong. His sophisticated economic theories, honed in prestigious Western institutions, felt utterly powerless in the face of such widespread human suffering. This profound disconnect between academic knowledge and real-world misery would become the catalyst for a revolutionary idea that would change millions of lives and earn him the Nobel Peace Prize. Born in 1940 in the village of Batua, in the district of Chittagong, Bangladesh, then British India, Muhammad Yunus grew up in a middle-class family. He was an exceptional student, eventually earning a Fulbright scholarship to study economics at Vanderbilt University in the United States. After completing his PhD, he taught at Middle Tennessee State University before returning to his homeland in 1972, filled with optimism for the future of independent Bangladesh. But the optimism quickly turned to despair as he witnessed the crushing poverty. He would often walk through the nearby village of Jobra, engaging with the villagers, trying to understand the root causes of their destitution. What he discovered was a vicious cycle of debt. Poor women, often artisans like basket weavers, needed tiny amounts of capital, just a few pennies, to buy raw materials. With no collateral and deemed unbankable by traditional financial institutions, they were forced to borrow from local moneylenders at exorbitant interest rates, sometimes as high as 10% per week. This effectively trapped them in perpetual poverty, unable to ever escape the debt. Yunus's economic training told him this was irrational, unsustainable, and unjust. One day, he met a woman who made bamboo stools. She explained that she needed 22 cents to buy the bamboo, and after repaying her moneylender, she was left with barely a penny for a full day's work. It was a revelation. The problem wasn't a lack of skill or will, it was a lack of access to fair credit. Driven by a sense of moral outrage and intellectual curiosity, Yunus decided to act. He didn't have a grand plan, he simply wanted to help this one woman and others like her. In 1976, he personally lent $27 from his own pocket to 42 villagers in Jobra. The total amount was minuscule, but its impact was transformative. These small loans allowed the borrowers to purchase materials, produce their goods, and sell them, keeping all the profits for themselves. They repaid him every single penny. This small experiment shattered conventional banking wisdom. It proved that even the poorest of the poor were creditworthy, given the right conditions. Yunus then approached traditional banks, trying to convince them to lend to these impoverished individuals. They scoffed, citing the lack of collateral, the high administrative costs of tiny loans, and the perceived risk. Undeterred, Yunus offered to be a guarantor for the loans himself. Still, the banks were unwilling. Frustrated by the rigid bureaucracy, Yunus realized that if the existing system wouldn't serve the poor, he would have to create a new one. In 1979, he established the Grameen Bank, meaning rural bank in Bengali, as a separate project, eventually transforming it into an independent bank in 1983. The Grameen Bank's model was revolutionary. No collateral. Loans were given without any need for collateral. Trust, not assets, was the foundation. Group lending. Loans were primarily given to groups of 5 women. Group members co-guaranteed each other's loans, fostering social accountability and peer support. If one member defaulted, The others in the group would not receive future loans, creating a powerful incentive for collective responsibility. Focus on women. Yunus observed that women were more reliable in repaying loans and that money in their hands had a greater positive impact on their family's health, nutrition, and education. Today, over 97% of Grameen Bank's borrowers are women. Tiny loans, microcredit. The loans were often incredibly small, sometimes just a few dollars, enabling individuals to start micro-enterprises like selling vegetables, raising chickens, or weaving textiles. Financial literacy and support. Grameen provided more than just money. It offered training, financial literacy, and a supportive environment. The success of Grameen Bank was phenomenal. Repayment rates were consistently above 98%, far exceeding those of many traditional banks. Millions of women, once trapped in destitution, gained economic independence, lifted their families out of poverty, and empowered their communities. The banker to the poor had found a way to unlock human potential that traditional systems had ignored. Muhammad Yunus's work with Grameen Bank garnered international attention, establishing him as the father of modern microcredit. His philosophy was simple yet profound. Poverty is not created by the poor, it is created by the system that surrounds them. By providing access to capital and fostering self-reliance, microcredit could dismantle the structural barriers to prosperity. In 2006, Muhammad Yunus and Grameen Bank were jointly awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts through microcredit to create economic and social development from below. The Nobel Committee recognized that peace could not be achieved without addressing fundamental issues of poverty and inequality. Yunus's work, however, extended beyond microcredit. He became a passionate advocate for social business, businesses designed to solve social problems, where profits are reinvested into the business or used to expand its social impact rather than distributed to shareholders. He founded numerous social businesses in Bangladesh, addressing issues from healthcare to renewable energy. While Grameen Bank and the concept of microcredit have faced some criticisms and challenges over the years, particularly regarding implementation and potential for debt traps if not managed carefully, there is no denying the profound and lasting impact of Muhammad Yunus's vision. He fundamentally reshaped the way the world thinks about poverty, finance, and human dignity. He proved that trust can be a form of collateral, that small actions can have monumental consequences, and that even the poorest among us, when given a fair chance, possess the power to lift themselves and their communities towards a brighter future. Muhammad Yunus, the quiet professor who dared to lend $27, truly became an architect of a Nobel dream for millions.